Newcastle radio for the North East. Can I ask you, here on Sunday Breakfast at 10 minutes past 8, what do you think when you think of Vicars on TV? Do you think of this?
David Vickers! What are you doing?
I'm the Easter Bunny.
You can't be. I'm the Easter Bunny. I promised Letitia Cropley I'd do it.
Well, so did I.
Mad Bat must have forgotten she'd already asked me. How demeaning. And after all the time I've spent on these bloody ears.
I'm surprisingly cute in that.
Shut up.
Oh, sexy little tail you've got there.
So the Vicar of Dibley is perhaps the most famous in recent times, but not all of them have been quite so nice. Remember Blackadder's baby-eating Bishop of Bath and Wells? Yeah, I do. Bryony Taylor is currently curate at St Michael's and St Angel's in Hortonley Spring, and she's also written a book on how Christians are being portrayed on TV, and she's in the studio this morning. Good morning, Bryony.
Good morning, Ingrid.
Good morning. It's lovely to have you with me. Can I ask what prompted you to write the book?
Well, I've always been a bit of a telly addict, and I thought it would be quite interesting to have a look at all the different Christian characters that have been on British television over the last sort of about 30 years. And I thought it would be quite fun to see what they say about what society thinks of Christians, but also what our own response as Christians to those says about us.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's interesting. I mean, part of the title of the book is The Good, the Bad and the Quirky. We have the good, the bad and the quirky, do we, in the clergy?
Oh, absolutely, definitely.
What kind of stories can you share?
Well, I did have a funny thing happen the other week. I've only been a curate for a year, and I was in the butcher's in Houghton, and I was buying a sandwich, and at the end of the transaction, the butcher said to me, "What's it like being the Vicar of Dibley?" And and I wasn't very quick off the mark, so I just said, "It's great, thanks." So I accidentally admitted to being the Vicar of Dibley, which was quite fun. But a friend of mine said I should have said, "It's great, I've lost loads of weight."
The only thing you have in common is that you're brunette, that's all.
And I like chocolate.
Well, don't we all? A lot of Christians would say that many parts of the media are quite hostile to Christians. Is that the case, do you think?
Actually, when I actually looked at a lot of the portrayals, I found that a lot of them are actually quite affectionate, because I think in British culture we tend to tease people that we like. It's usually a sign of affection. I think where the most negative portrayals are actually in stand-up comedy, with sort of stand-up comedians talking about anyone that's a believer must be a complete nutcase or an idiot. So I think that's the most negative portrayal we get.
Talking of which, I've just had a quick flick through the book. I love the introduction. You've taken from Eddie Izzard. You couldn't get a better comedian, to be fair. If you are religious, that's okay. But if you've got to keep analysing it and keep a sense of humour, because without a sense of humour, people will start dying.
Quite.
Thanks, Eddie.
Yeah.
Do you like it when it's portrayed with humour? I mean, Father Dougal, Father Ted, Douglas, sorry. It is Dougal.
It's
Dougal. Why do you think we loved Father Ted? Is it because it was everything we hoped that behind the scenes it would be like in that house?
I think there's an element of that going on with Father Ted. I think because for a lot of people, particularly for Roman Catholic priests, it's kind of a completely unknown world. And so what Graham Linehan did with the show was kind of make up at this universe that was really hilarious, and I think it felt a bit like a kind of twitch behind the curtain to see what their lives are like, and it was completely crazy.
Was it great? Did it break down barriers? Because sometimes people can get, I don't know, nervous when they see the dog collar alone, never mind even coming to speak to you. Do you find you get treated a little bit different when you're wearing it?
Yeah, I do actually, yeah. And I certainly find that if I walk down the main street in Houghton without my collar on, I feel like I'm invisible, because when I've got it on, people kind of do sort of greet me or look at me or, have a sense of fascination. But if I'm not wearing the collar, I'm just an ordinary person and nobody notices me, really.
And because of these comedy characters we've had, I suppose everybody finds you approachable.
I think in some respects, particularly because I'm a woman, I think we're quite lucky, really, that you think woman vicar and you immediately think of the Vicar of Dibley. And I think it could have been a lot worse. I think male vicar characters have been much more negative over the years. They've tended to be sort of bumbling idiots, really. Whereas actually the Vicar of Dibley is quite a fun character. So I don't really mind when people kind of think I might be like her, because actually she's quite fun.
And quite astute, actually. Yeah. So who's your favourite? We've mentioned Dougal in Father Ted. Anybody else?
Well, one of my favourite Christian characters on the telly has been in the show Rev. It's Colin, who might be a sort of surprising choice, but I just think he's a very accurate portrayal.
All right, okay, then let's hear Colin in action. Here he is knocking at the door of the Reverend Adam Smallbone as he awaits an important visit.
That'll be Roland. Vicar, can I use your toilet? It's urgent, really, really urgent. Please, it's urgent. My guts are shot. The best of times I had a kebab's gone straight through me. Can you use the pub? There's no time. I'm shaking here, man. Come on, it's DEFCON 1 down there. It's like... no, I'm afraid you'll have to use the pub. It's Roland. He's here. Hello, Roland.
Dear boy. I hope I'm not late.
No.
Are you aware there's a man defecating on your lawn?
Nearly dumped it. Oh, man.
So does everybody have a parish that has a Colin in it?
Yeah, I think so. If you talk to a lot of vicars, they say, "Oh yeah, we've got a Colin." Yeah, and what I quite like about Colin is that he feels at home at the church. It's the only place where he's accepted and loved by the people there, despite the fact that he's a bit of a pain, really. So yeah, I think he's actually quite a wonderful character, really, Colin.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the book again. On page 48, I did come across a scorecard. You've actually gone through the characters on air and given them a score, and I love this. The scorecard is basically longevity. Do you think this character will last very long? You gave 18% to Padre Mary Greenstock from Bluestone 42, which is of course the controversial BBC Three sitcom featuring those working in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I love the vices, 70% of vices, and
Yeah.
realism 68%. So do
Yes.
you tend to have a lot of vices?
me myself.
Well, I
yeah.
just think you were in the rest of the...
I think vicars in general, I think what's been interesting is that the more recent portrayals like Padre Mary and like Adam Smallbone are much more rounded figures, and they have a lot more kind of ordinary sort of vices, really.
They're human.
Adam Smallbone enjoys a fag with Colin on the bench in the churchyard all the time, and Padre Mary's got a bit of a history. She's got a bit of a gambling problem from her past, and so we're starting to see characters that have got much more. They're much more normal, really. They're much more like one of us,
Yes.
rather than caricatures. I think in the sort of 80s and 90s, most of the vicar characters tended to be caricatures, whereas now we're starting to see a lot more realistic portrayals.
I'm just flicking through the book again. The League of Gentlemen, you touch on that. The baby-eating Bishop of Bath and Wells, which we mentioned. Very, very disturbing.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't have anybody who's as aggressive as that, though, do you? In your diocese?
No. I think I say in the book that they're almost backhanded compliments. Those really, really bad characters like the baby-eating Bishop of Bath and Wells, because the Church of England has an image of being very woolly and fluffy and friendly, and so that's what the comedy is. They've turned that on its head and said, imagine what it would be like if there was a Church of England vicar that was really evil. And it's kind of a backhanded compliment, really, I think, for those of us that are Anglican.
So what would you think Jesus would be watching if he was watching TV at the moment? Who would be his favourite character?
I'm not sure.
Difficult one.
But I think what's interesting is that actually, if you look at the way Jesus taught people, he used a lot of humour, and he also was quite a satirical kind of person. The way that he challenged Roman authority, particularly with something like the triumphal entry into Jerusalem, he was actually making fun of the Roman way of doing triumphal entries. So I think actually he would give modern stand-ups a run for their money, because he was very good at coming up with really hilarious images in the way that he taught through the parables.
Yeah. You obviously love watching TV and chocolate, as we've heard. Bryony Taylor, More TV Vicar is the book that's out now, and it's available right now for everybody?
It is, yeah. And I just signed a load of copies at Durham Cathedral Bookshop, so if you want a signed copy, you can get one from there.
How fantastic. And will we see you doing any more signings?
I'm going to be signing some at Houghton Spring Church on the 18th of July at the coffee morning.
Great, fantastic. Send me an email, keep me up to date with that.
I will do.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much, Bryony, for coming in.
Thanks a lot.